So we're going to talk today about composite shapes. A composite shape or a complex shape is basically a shape that is built with other shapes. So my calculator is a rectangular prism with a trapezoid on top, and it also has other different shapes built in on it. But if you just look at the outline of my calculator, it looks like it's a rectangle with this little, could be a semicircle, and a trapezoid on top. So everything that we have in reality is composed of composite shapes. My coffee mug is a cylinder with a semicircle. So being able to take an object and look at its components is what we're talking about right now. We're calling them composite shapes or complex shapes. So I drew a shape on my piece of paper. You could say it's a trapezoid, because it kind of is. Actually, it is a trapezoid. But we're going to look at it in its two components. Trapezoids are basically rectangles and triangles put together. So with this trapezoid shape, we're going to look at its components. If I draw that line, I'm splitting up this trapezoid into a rectangle and a triangle. And with those two bits of information, I can figure out the area of my shape, I can figure out the perimeter of my shape, I can figure out the volume of my shape, because I can find those things for my rectangle and I can find those things for my triangle. So right now we're going to look at perimeter only, the distance around my shape. Well, looking at this shape, I know that this side measure is 6, this side measure is 4, this side measure is 7. But then I have a 4 up here. And the question is this 4, does it represent just this little piece? Or does it represent this whole piece down here? So this is where you, as a mathematician, have to think about it. You have to stop and think. What number is bigger, 6 or 4? Well, we know that 6 is greater than 4. So that looking at a shape, I know that the side whose measurement is 6 has to be bigger than the side whose measurement is 4. Now this isn't drawn to scale, but I know that this side is smaller than this side because my diagonal line, and the way it is, but also visually, this side where the 4 is has to be bigger. So there is a missing measurement. My rules with rectangles state that opposite sides are parallel, but they're also the same measurement. So this line here is 4 because this is 4. Since this side here is 6, this side here has to be 6. So the first step of finding perimeter of our complex shapes is to look at it and separate it into its smaller shapes. So one, find the shapes. The second part is to look for missing measurements. Okay? So you look for them and you fill them in. And the third step of finding perimeter is add up the measurements. And that's it. So we took our trapezoid, we split it up into the triangle and the rectangle. We realized that this side cannot measure 4, that we're missing a measurement. We used our knowledge of rectangles to figure out what that measurement is. So now we're on step 3. We're going to add up the sides. So I'm going to start at one spot and I'm going to add them up. 6 plus 4 plus 6 plus 4 plus 7. So when you're adding these things up, group them, use your calculator, whatever you need to do. I know 6 plus 4 is 10, so I have 10. I have 20. I have 27. and it's 27 units. So my complex shape is 27 units.